Good evening, happy Friday, and welcome to Last Call, where the liquor flows and my toy collection grows. Yes, you've seen me peppering my uploads with toy unboxings and reviews. I've talked on streams about my custom figures, many of which I'll be featuring in an upcoming video in the holiday season. But tonight, we welcome a very special guest behind the bar who, when it comes to custom action figures, is in a class unto himself, which is why I've been so eager to chat with him. I am, of course, referring to Andy Masterson of the Laboratory of Mayhem, who has done some absolutely incredible work. Link in the description. Subscribe and check it out later. So top off your glasses, start typing the questions you might have for our guest, and strap in. Here we go. Good evening, and hey, Jaboomer, how you doing?
Good, I'm doing well tonight, thank you.
And what you zipping on, my friend?
I got myself a Calypso Taste of the Islands original lemonade. No fancy ocean blue or peach. It's just the regular.
Oh
lemonade.
yeah, just keep it basic, man. Keep it basic. You got to work tomorrow?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
it says shake well. Real lemon bits, it says on the bottle. That's how you know it's the real stuff. This is a little more tart than I like my lemonades, but if you're like tart lemonades, this might be for you.
No, I get you. Yeah, Big Al says, welcome to the stream, by the way, Big Al. I drank to your health in company. I drank to your health alone. I drank to your health so many times, I nearly ruined my own. Have a great stream tonight. To which I responded somewhere. Did I? Yes. I said, Big Al presents. If I had a drink for every well-wish you offered me, I would have a great stream and a terrible Saturday morning. By the way, I'm drinking a Jameson Irish whiskey. Very, very cold on Whiskey Stones, and it's smooth. I'm feeling kind of warm right now, to be honest with you. But let us not keep our guest waiting. Well, you know what? Let me get rid of that comment so that we got room to bring him in. We're going to welcome Andy Masterson of the... I'm sorry, what's the name of the channel again? It's
Laboratory of Mayhem.
Laboratory of Mayhem. See, I'm already well into this, so get a little flighty. But yes, the Laboratory of Mayhem. Again, links in the description. Please check it out, especially if you are interested in, custom figures, which we'll get into and we'll be talking about. But Andy, has anyone ever told you that your channel is, in a way, you could totally brand it as an ASMR channel?
What's ASMR?
Wow, I thought everyone knew at this point, at least in the YouTubes here. ASMR is an acronym for Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response. And it's that the best example is Bob Ross. Okay? You just sit and watch Bob Ross. And he just talks like this. And we're going to do some happy trees. And, we make no mistakes. No, they're just happy accidents. And you get that just, relaxed feeling. You get these tingles in the back of your neck, And honestly, watching your videos as you're doing your sculpting and whatnot, on the one hand, I kind of feel that ASMR vibe. On the other hand, I'm like, son of a bitch, I can't do that shit. A little bit of jealousy there. But seriously, no. I mean, it's a great channel. Definitely check it out. And we'll get into that a little bit more. But how you doing tonight, Andy, and what you sipping on?
Well, just coffee right now. I have to get up in the morning. I have to do a class in the morning, and then I have to get on a flight and do a little traveling tomorrow, so I figured I better not be too tired.
No, I absolutely get that. Traveling, even at the best of times, can be challenging and requires all of your focus and stamina.
Although I have to agree with you, I also like my whiskey cold.
Yes. I mean, I like my brandy, slightly warmer than room temperature, right off the palm and whatnot. But yeah, whiskey cold is really, really nice. Goes in cold, but makes you feel real warm. It's kind of nice. This is a good one. Yeah. But anyway, let's say hi to the chat. Some of you guys have been here since before I even put the stream up, as the Time Prophet says. He actually says that he was here before they put the stream up. That's a time travel joke. I said, yeah, I'd like to get you on a stream 3 weeks ago. And PJ of Orville Nation, always a pleasure to see you there. He's bummed because somebody beat him to the first. And always faithful Matanui. Thank you so much for being here, my friend. Already had brought up Big Al's comment. Thanks so much for being here, Big Al. And I know that was as far as I got in the chat, as far as being able to type out welcomes to everyone. Adega Outlaw had you on a couple weeks back. Great channel. Make sure you're following everybody that you see in the comments, because I got a great community here with a lot of people with a lot of great channels. So make sure you subscribe to everyone, like Deleted Scenes, the awesome Blue Wrench, who works so hard for zero pay. You are awesome for being here, my friend. And David Pensack. All right. Who's paying for the first round tonight?
I am.
I guess Netter is. Yeah. Hi, Netter. Netter wasn't here when we went. Well, she was here just as we went live, because she was otherwise occupied. And a very, very special guest in the chat. Haven't seen you in a while. Evelyn Hampton. So glad to see you here, Admiral. Always a pleasure. Super appreciate you being here. Have I missed anyone? A lot of people saying hi to each other. I love to see that. I love to see the community. Daniel Heron of Soundtracks with Birdman. What's up, awesome people? Well, you are, at least for now. I don't expect that to last much longer, but thanks for at least stopping by to say hi. I know you will catch us on the rerun later on. Netter's, of course, in the house, and she's saying hello to everyone, including to our guest, Andy Masterson. Hi, sweetie. Good to see you. She's always so encouraging. And like I said, Deleted Scenes is dropping the link, so make sure you right-click on whatever he's got out there. Right-click, don't leave us. Right-click and open another thing and follow them. Yeah, I know you're dropping stuff too. You're awesome. I love you.
He dropped a little kind of review of Barbarian earlier this week.
Oh, okay. Yeah, definitely check that out. I've got like 20 videos from different people in my to watch later. I it's just so many. I can't keep up, Sir Torrin Clegane, good to see you, my friend. Thanks for being here. I think that catches us up. I will do my best to say hi to everybody as people come in. But anyway, Andy Masterson. So, for those in the chat now and, who stop by the video later on in the future, if you don't know Andy Masterson, you might know his work if you're following people like Drunk 3PO and Doomcock, and you did Heel versus Babyface, right?
Yeah, I started off with, well, back when COVID hit, my business got slowed down quite a bit, so I had extra time on my hands. So I made, I first found all this YouTube stuff with Doomcock. I was sitting around one day, and up until that point, I thought like YouTube was just for like music videos and how to and stuff like that. And I had put something on, like put some kind of music on, and that ended. And then my son informed me later, like, oh, you have autoplay on? Like, I didn't have any idea that there was even an autoplay thing. So I I put on. I saw Doomcock come on there, and he's talking about Star Wars. I'm like, oh my god, somebody else thinks the same thing I do.
Yeah.
And so then I learned about what a live stream was, and I learned and I started seeing him and Nerdrotic on there doing the Inquisition, and it was like, and then one night they were talking about action figures, and I'd been making these when it started off when my son was little. He was about, I guess, 2 months old back in '99. And the Hasbro 12-inch figures had just gone on clearance, and we're walking through the toy store, and I picked up the Episode 1 Obi-Wan figure, and I said to his mother, like, I'm getting this for him. And she says, you don't even know if he's going to like Star Wars. Oh yeah, he's going to like Star Wars. So I picked him up for $10. A couple days later, I come in and my wife says, what's that? And I said, it's the other figure for another $10 of Qui-Gon. So I started collecting for him. And so as he got a little bit older, I've got pictures of him there with in a little Jedi outfit with a lightsaber and a sippy cup, as he would watch all of Star Wars. And so I started hanging out in some chat rooms to find out when the new releases were coming up.
Yeah.
And so they had custom sections in there. I was like, oh wow, that's really cool.
Yeah.
And toys were always real big with me. I mean, I was allergic to everything when I was little. Big thick glasses, I could legally blind basically. And so I wasn't playing too many sports. I wasn't that popular or at all. And so I had Legos and toys to keep me company. And,
Sure.
So it just kind of stuck. And then I got into the customizing thing. So I sculpted my son's head. I popped it off of the 6-scale Anakin figure, put that on, and he had his own figure. And then
nice.
My daughter says, well, I want one. So I had to make one for her. Of course, hers is a little more Dora the Explorer themed, but she would have me hang strings from the ceiling, and she could swing her little toy like it was Tarzan and whatnot.
Nice.
And so I gradually started. I just kept working on and refining over the years. So then when I saw these guys and I had time in my hands, and I heard them talk about action figures, like, oh, you know what, that would be pretty cool. I wonder if I could do that. And I did a Doomcock figure, and it was like the hardest part was going to be all the detail on his coat. And so my bathroom up in my downstairs bathroom was crapping out. So my house is about 100 years old. So I'm like, all right, let me remodel the bathroom. So I rip out everything. I completely gut it, and I rebuild it. It's the benefit of working construction in college. And I completely remodel the bathroom. So in typical wife fashion, rather than say thank you or good job, she brings home this Cricut machine and says, here, don't think I don't appreciate you. Okay, $200 piece of equipment instead of a thank you. Yeah, we'll call it even.
Yeah.
So this thing's great. It's does all kinds of, cuts out vinyl and everything. It basically works like a printer.
Sure.
And so I did the design. I printed it out. Then I found these little rivets and I popped all of them in there. And I sent Doomcock his. I didn't think anything of it. I just kind of put it in the mail and sent it off. And about a week later.
So before you go any further with that story, I was just rewatching that video of Doomcock where he's opening it, and my understanding from his video, and I'd love to hear your side of it. He didn't know who had sent it to him at the time. He was completely perplexed. So did you send it anonymously, or what did you do with that?
I didn't know how. I put my return address on it. I put a Masterson, and I just.
Oh, okay. So yeah, okay.
So, but he said, everybody goes by different names. I never thought of anything like that. I just I don't understand the whole anonymous thing. I'm just me. So
well, and see, you and I clearly we're doing the same thing, and yet Agent Boomer over here, I always have to be careful. I say I'm afraid to Clark Kent Superman him. Mm-hmm. So I call him Agent Boomer even in the green room and everything, and he's like, Troy, you know my real name, right? I'm like, I do. I don't use it because I'm afraid that I might accidentally call you by your real name on a stream. And there's actually somebody, and I'm not going to say who it is because there's only 10 people here. You might be able to figure out who it was. But there was somebody in the chat that I was talking about in a stream, and I said his first name, and I was like, and Nanette and Boomer were both like, don't worry, nobody's going to make the connection between what you said and who you were talking about. You didn't out anybody. But yeah, it is. It's like a superhero's secret identity for some people.
Yeah, so I was at the gym, and I heard him talking about the action figures. Oh, cool, he got it. But I remembered I had put a little light inside the little robot guy, the bad robot from JJ.
Yes, that was hanging by his neck. Yeah.
So I shot him a super chat. So, oh, cool, you got your figure. The little guy lights up.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, he's got me on the show. And I'm like, yeah, I had to download Twitter. I wasn't on Twitter. I was like, I was doing the thing off my phone. I was like, I had no idea how to make any of this work.
Yeah.
So, and it was funny because I had mailed Gary's out like at the same, like a couple of days later.
Gary's, oh my gosh, Gary looks just like him. I mean, that's just incredible.
Yeah, this guy here. There we go.
So for everyone you send out to them, you have one yourself too.
Well, I didn't plan it that way. But so me and Sarcasm have a long history together. And
welcome to the club, my friend.
So when I was in high school, like I've always had a little problem with authority. I had 34 detentions my senior year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good on you, mate.
It was all innocent fun. I remember, like, my track coach got really pissed off at me because, like, I showed up late for practice one day eating a sandwich. And, I would leave school and go down to 7-Eleven and come back with a quart of ice or a pint of ice cream eating. Like,
nice.
So we had a supervisor in the English department. I had two of the English teachers really liked me, and the rest of them hated my guts. And so the one guy, Mr. Gavani, he was a really cool guy. He's a Vietnam vet, and he was really focused on trying to get the kids to think and draw conclusions and stuff. And there was this little supervisor that came around, and he believed that you should lecture half the period and give the kids a worksheet the other half of the period, and that was school. So these guys, they butted heads a lot. So he would sit in the back of the classroom. He's a short little Italian guy, and he looked just like the preacher from Poltergeist 2, like real gaunt face, bald, and like real sharp features, and
yep.
This permanent scowl on his face, like yeah. And he was probably like 4'11", and he would just sit back there. And so I'm sitting there one day, and I draw him with this look in his face, but I draw him as like Napoleon. So I'm leaving class, and we're handed in stuff, and I drop it on teacher Mr. Fiend's desk, and he's like, he just like, because the supervisor had walked out the door a few minutes earlier, and he just busts up laughing, and he grabs me. Wait, did you do this? Did you do this? I was like, yeah. Like, come with me. And he runs down to Gavani's class, and and he said, can you make me one? So like every week,
nice.
They hang them all over their classrooms. So when this guy comes in, he can't help us. So then I got a little more creative, and I started making some 3-dimensional things where, like, he's dressed as this little, Yahtzee soldier with a machine gun, and the two teachers are there with the little rubber band effect, so like you'd press the button and they would snap down like they got shot. Then I made it was a cardboard box, basically. It's covered in blue construction paper with a little boat on it. And the little supervisor guy, he was water skiing in the back. When you pulled the boat up far enough, it would trip the switch, and a 3-dimensional cardboard shark would come out and get him.
Yeah.
And then I made a working set of gallows.
Wow.
all the things I'd be in therapy for now are in school. But
Yeah, I can totally relate to that. I in Spanish class, I did a I don't remember if we were doing poems or what it was, but I did something really, really dark because I felt like if I did something really evocative, it really conveyed I was really trying with this language, It wasn't just going through the motions or whatever. And the teacher reached out to my mom and was concerned. And, my mom was like, got a call from the school today. I'm like, the hell did I do? She's like, well, there was this poem and everything. I'm like, yeah, I was really proud of that. She's like, well, your teacher's concerned. She thinks, you might, harm yourself or whatever. I'm like, Ma. She's like, I know, but I need to do my due diligence here. And I'm like, no. And she's like, yeah, I figured that's what it was. But, that's back then, that's the way you handled these things, right?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I know this is probably nothing, 99% chance everything's fine, but just in case that 1%, let's just address it, and okay, fine. I appreciate that. It shows you love me, both the teacher and my mother, okay, no problem. We all laughed about it, right?
Was your poem about death?
I honestly don't remember. Probably because my vocabulary was pretty limited, so I needed to be pretty on the nose with it. Probably talk with Paulie and Mikey a little bit about that tomorrow when we do the rewatch on Nose Channel, A Book of Life. But yeah. But anyway, sorry, didn't mean to derail you there, Andy. Keep going.
I sent Gary's out like a couple days after Doomcocks.
Sure.
Expecting that, all right, well, he'll get his, and well, apparently he never checked his P.O. box for 2 months.
Right.
So in the meantime, I never saw too much of Friday Night Tights because I usually have classes on Friday nights until about 6 o'clock or so. And so, but I happened to tune in one time and I see Az sitting there in a hot dog suit. And I'm like, so
this is crazy. Yeah.
I put together his figure here but I sent him a hot dog suit with it. And so it looked like this. But it was funny actually because I didn't know if I know somebody and I've got a good relationship with him, I can be myself. But I didn't want to be insulting to the guy and but I had to make him I'd put a little fluffy suit on underneath him. And
sure.
But I'm like, I really don't know these guys, so I'm like, I don't know how they're going to take a joke. And I wanted it to look authentic. I mean, it would look stupid if you made an Az figure and he's got this skinny little body.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking do I send it to Gary? And but Gary had never even gotten to his thing yet. So I'm like, you know what? I'll send a super chat in and find out his P.O. box for whatever they do in England, and get it from there. So I did that.
That's right. Az is over in the UK. Yeah. It probably cost you more to ship that to him than the figure itself.
Yeah, I think it was $30 or something like that to ship it to England. But anyway, so I send it over there, and it was funny because Gary's gets there, and he put something on Twitter with it. And the next day, Az got his. So Gary's had been sitting in there long enough for me to make an Az figure, package it up, and mail it to the UK and get there by the time he opened it up.
Man,
so
awesome.
So Az did this thing with on his show that he did with Robert Meyer Burnett, and it was really glowing review of the figure and whatnot. And it was really nice the way he did everything. So you get a fellow toy collector, so I've sent him a bunch of stuff over the last year or so, which he's going to be bringing out once if he ever gets his Hot Toys channel up and running. And so I sent those three out. I really didn't have any other intention of doing anything else. And then Drunk 3PO, I heard about all the charity work that he did. I was like, you know what? God's kind of talking to me here and saying, like, you know what? This guy deserves a thank you from the universe. So I'm sitting there and I'm watching it and I'm paying attention to look for, because I like to personalize these things. Like Gary's,
Yep.
I sent his in a like Doomcock's a character unto himself. He's got like, so I sent his with the little Sabu. I sent him with the bad robot figure. So
Yep.
Gary's I dressed up like Doctor Who,
Yep.
and his box looks like a little TARDIS.
TARDIS, right?
Oh, cool.
Saw that.
So and it's all relief. It's like in layers, so it's 3-dimensional.
Yep.
So it's pretty cool. And as I just did his logo, but I put the hot dog suit, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, what am I going to do for Drunk 3PO? So like, he had the whole Mandalorian connection with Gina Carano and stuff. So like,
Yep.
so I made him in a Mandalorian armor. But what I did was
Okay, wait. Pause right there. I just got to ask the chat and hear the panel. Am I the only one, or have we totally been chipping those two? Those two, we'd love to find out they were dating or something, right?
well, she just got engaged. So
Ah, damn it.
but she's been with Kevin Ross for years. He's a kickboxer. So
Yep.
Jay should probably not get too close. But anyway, so I did his whole armor, like C-3PO's armor, like his
Sure.
outfit, metal and stuff like that. And I put in there the funniest thing was I sent him a Gonk droid. But drunk. I sent it as the Drunkalorian, and he's got like little beer bottles and stuff in there. And you open up the Gonk droid, and it's a beer cooler.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that I hadn't seen. Okay.
Yeah, I put I've stuck some. I'm working my way through like those reaction videos, those
Yep.
unboxing videos that I got his up there too, and I sent him instead of Baby Yoda. I was originally going to do Baby Jar Jar. But right before I started sculpting it, some guy on Instagram made like a 3D model and like an animated it and made a Baby Jar Jar figure, or not figure, but like animation. And so I'm like, well, I don't want it to look like I was copying him. So I made a miniature Baby Akbar, like Admiral Akbar, and I made like the little alphabet blocks, and I glued them together, and it had so it spelled out trap. And I put it in a little aquarium thing from the dollar store, but unfortunately, I don't know how the post office managed to shatter it, like with all the foam I packed inside of it, but they did. So that was the only thing that didn't go along too well with that. and then I sent them out, and I was like, I hadn't had any more intention to do another one. And then Geeks and Gamers had the whole thing with Zack Snyder. And Anna, that Star Wars girl, put out a video about.
She's a cutie.
Yeah, she's a sweetheart. She like I like her. Like she's a little caustic, which I like.
Yeah.
I married an Italian, so like you kind of figure it's like they're little.
There you go.
Little
I got a vowel on the end of my name
Yeah.
there, so I dig you.
She put this thing up there in defense of Geeks and Gamers, and she went into this very emotional video about everything Jeremy had done for her when her sister passed away.
I saw that, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you know what? There's God's voice chatter in my head again. Like, somebody did all this and like didn't take any credit for anything. Just like he deserves a figure of himself, and he's a big Trump fan. So I'm thinking to myself, like, all right, maybe I should keep the Star Wars theme going with the Geeks and Gamers guys. So I sent him in a Jedi outfit with like, I took the Geeks and Gamers logo and I turned it on its side and I put it down the tabards, so it looked like a little design on there. Put it in the Kelly green, just like their logo. But I made him a little Yoda Trump figure. Let me see if I can figure out how to do this. Let's see here.
You gonna share something?
I'm gonna try.
Okay.
I'm not that good at this though, so bear with me. Let's see here.
Yeah, so down below you have a button that says share, and it'll ask you if you want to share a tab.
Let's see here.
Well, they don't make tab anymore.
Okay, there he is.
I know, that's why I bought up cases of it.
Cases?
Of tab.
Oh, okay.
Because they don't make tab anymore.
Okay, let's go here. Share. Share screen.
Yep.
Let's see. Let's try this. Okay. Window. There we go. There you go.
Ah, yes. There we go. Oh, that's
Oh
awesome.
wow!
So, okay, so it looks like that figure is about half the size of a 12-inch figure.
Yeah.
It's got to be about a 6-inch figure. What's the base? What's the body? Did you sculpt that completely from scratch?
No, my original plan was to do to put it on a Yoda body, like a Hasbro Yoda body.
Sure.
But that didn't work out too well. So they are selling these little child bodies.
Sure.
Like and so I got one of them, and I just I molded and cast Yoda hands for my sideshow figure, and I put that on top of them on the hands and feet, and just made the outfit. Now the head sculpt, I was gonna try and like sculpt one by hand, but I was like, time. I can sculpt, but it's time consuming. And
yes, it is. Yeah.
so I'm like, okay, here's a Trump head on eBay that I can just buy for $15 and shipped. So I get that, and I make a mold of the face, and I make a mold of the back of Yoda's head, and I kind of like work them together a little bit and put some.
And as a crafter, I can totally picture exactly what you're talking about now. You're doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I put it all together with some what you call it, the little epoxy stuff, the two-part.
The two-part resin.
Yeah, like that.
Epoxy resin. Yeah.
So I put that together and like painted him up and whatnot, and made a mold of it so it's actually resin. Sure. And got and put that together and sent that out to him. So he put that on Twitter. He was pretty. I didn't know if he'd gotten it, so I reached out to Mexican Iron Man, who at the time he got in touch with me because he wanted me to make a Mexican Iron Man figure. And at first he was going to send me a Hot Toys. I'm like, dude, like they're really expensive. Like,
yeah,
I'm going to feel really bad if I screw it up. But like, I got this knockoff Iron Man, like that's this guy here. That's made from Hot Toys molds.
Okay.
But it's $90. So I was like, oh, that's a lot better deal. So I said to him, he said, yeah, that's a better idea. Let's get 3 of them. So I got that, and but it was going to take months. So I made Mike his.
I didn't know you'd made one for Mikey. That's pretty awesome. He's going to be on Netter's channel tomorrow. Yeah.
Well, actually, I've made him 2. One, he had no idea he was getting hit. It's his Darth Pappy figure.
Sure.
Whenever he is on a stream and they bring up Star Wars, he adopts his Darth Pappy persona. And so I made a let's see if I can find the pictures of that. Let's see. I put him in a black outfit with let's see, we got it right here. I'm sorry, I should have been better prepared for this, but I'm still learning all this crap. Damn, where'd I put it? I'll see if I can find it. But anyway, he so I put him in a black Sith outfit with these cowboy boots with flames on them and stuff, and did some like Aztec lettering and whatnot and design.
Yeah.
And I made him a speeder bike, and on his speeder bike, he has a grill on the back with a little droid that cooks tacos. And I have little tacos there, so he
did a video of that, didn't he? I saw.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, his unboxing video. So I made that for him,
See, making the connections here. I'd forgotten that he had done, and I didn't make that connection. Right.
So that was, and I sent that one out, and then I had all of a sudden I had these people contacting me about can I sell these? Number one, and I was like, I won't sell them unless I get permission from that.
Fair enough.
Creator.
That makes sense. Yeah.
My main thing was there's a lot of people out there that that hate these guys as much as love them.
Yes.
And I'm not going to sell one of these things to somebody who wants to have like,
a voodoo doll of them or do something.
Or to bend over an Az figure behind a Ken doll and have something little.
I don't know. I actually feel like Az would probably get some mileage out of that and find a way to twist that. Yeah.
It's funny because I've done several things like Az was talking about different things. I was like, oh, you know what? And I buy lots of different kinds of figures. Like, one thing I always hated was when you look at a shelf and every figure is the same height and they're the same shape and all that.
Yeah.
It bothers me because you need variety in there. So whenever there's a new body that comes out, I'll pick one up just to check it out and stuff. Sure. And so I got this, they made this plus size figure from World Box Toys. And I was like, oh, that'd be perfect for Az. So they were doing this thing and I had this piece of fake fur and I laid it down there in front of this little couch and put Az there like this and he's covered up with this towel. And so that's why I have versions of these figures. It was never my intention to keep a stockpile here, but it comes in so damn handy for memes. It's like you can put these figures in different positions and all of a sudden you get something out there and it's funny.
I love that.
So I started getting all these people coming in and when are you going to do this one? When are you going to do this one? And so I started getting all these requests to do a Ryan Kinnell figure. And I'm like, okay, let me see what I can do here. And I worked through that. So I got in touch with him and he was like, I said, what kind of theme would you like on this? Do you want Star Wars like everything else? So yeah, I'd love it. So he said something like a Darth Revan figure would be his so I made something Revan-esque for him and made a whole box. And, the running joke with him is all this. They all play Super Mario Brothers or Mario Kart, whatever it is.
Sure.
And he's always talking about pizza. So I made him a little droid that his paint job looks just like Mario. I want pizza. And I made little pizza boxes with little pizzas inside of them. On the side, I wrote things like Oregon mushroom and Ewok and pineapple. And so the little droid is actually a pizza oven. You open it up and like that. So, and that went over. He did a whole video of that that he edited really well. And at the same time, it was when Sesame Street had come out in support of the jab. And so he was going off about so I sent him a lightsaber victim, Elmo and Big Bird to go along with it. And so that he opened all them up together. And then it was Eric July. I had made his.
Eric July is awesome.
Yeah, he's I've been a comic book fan since I was 8 years old. And I grew up on Marvel and some DC, but mostly Marvel. And he's got similar ideological leanings as myself. I've been libertarian since 1992.
Dude, and, we're getting closer to talking politics the more you talk like that.
But so I made him.
You don't have to contribute, Aged Boomer, if you're trying to separate yourself from the.
It's fine.
Oh no,
I'm listening.
As long as you're Aged Boomer, I guess you can get away with it. Okay.
I'm just saying. I'm just listening. That's all. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well,
no. I meant the political thing. I know you need to.
Well,
but you're Aged Boomer, so you can.
Yes. Yes.
You can get away with saying whatever you want to.
It's fine.
Well, actually,
it's not going to hurt you professionally.
Getting a little bit more political with this. Back in this all started back in May of 2021. And I made a couple of these things. I think I'd gotten through Drunk 3PO had just gotten his. So it was 4 that I'd done.
Are you watching other people's channels while I got a live stream going? What are you doing, man? Pay attention. No, I'm playing with you. I'm playing.
So
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Andy.
A fellow on Twitter, Balder85, he tags me in this post on Twitter. that Chrissy Mayer is looking for a Hunter Biden action figure. So
this dude, wait a minute. Tell me you're going to do a Chrissy Mayer figure.
Oh, it's already done.
Oh, dude, That is awesome. I can't wait to see it. Oh, gosh. That's just awesome.
Have you seen the Hunter Biden figure?
I have not, no.
Okay. So anyway.
I'll check it out.
Yeah. What I did, I said it'll probably take me a couple weeks to put together, and like she had completely forgotten about it. And so I got some things together. I got it done. And there you go. I just sent it to you, Twitter DM. So I put on her Twitter page that I finished that item you requested, because I didn't want to come right out with it, because I didn't know what she wanted to do with it. So she follows me back and DMs me.
I'm sorry. That's funny.
Hey, share the video if you want to. It's pretty funny.
Let me see if I can figure out how to do that. You know what? I'll just bring up the video, the whole page. Give me a second. Share. Let's see. Share screen. Chrome tab. Share. And then I guess I'm gonna have to play.
Whoa.
Here is my limited edition Hunter Biden action figure.
It is. It does look
laptop.
Like the laptop.
The laptop.
Ukrainian natural gas for dummies. Sneakers. The scarf. Cigarettes. Look at this little crack pipe. Crack pipe for him. And then we got some stacks. Thank you so much to Andy for making this. Look, it's down to the tattoos and shit stain.
That's an attention to detail. That's awesome.
Here is.
That is awesome.
Wow.
How do I
like
start sharing now?
Well, it was. I own a martial arts studio, and
yes, you do. Yes.
It's attached to my house, and like this thing goes out there, and a couple of days later, my phone rings, and some guy's on there, and he's like, hey, "How do I get one of these Hunter Biden action figures?" I'm like, "Dude, like you realize that like all this stuff is handmade, and like you're probably looking like $150 a piece." So he said, "Good, I need 5 of them."
I need 5.
I'm like, okay, I can do that.
You know what you do? Oh, I mean, you do it how you want, but I would suggest starting an Etsy page and selling the heads, and then just say, buy the body, add the head, do it yourself.
Well, you know what? I had done Etsy last year or a couple years ago. I made the Elf on the Shelf was real big.
Mm-hmm.
So I found these little skulls. So I made a skeletal Elf on the Shelf, and so it's basically like like somebody forgot the elf somewhere and it's dead, and it's just a skeleton. It's got the skull on it. It was like here's a silver version of the skull, but I just
it looks like you're halfway to the Skull of Calderon for Doomcock.
Yeah, we're working on that.
Oh wow!
So,
see? Like minds think great.
I sold and the funniest thing was I sold 70 of those things, and every person that put a review on the Etsy shop was like, "My kids love it." I'm like, I thought I was a little twisted for making the damn thing, because my intention was for Halloween. I thought it would sell for Halloween. Didn't sell for Halloween, but around Christmas time, everybody wanted one. So it kind of took off with that. So it was like, oh well, that's kind of fun. And so but Etsy charges you a set fee for shipping, which is a little high. And they charge you like a fee and all this stuff. And I'm like, you know what? they're not really doing that much for me to pay. Like, and this way, it's like, it's a little more personal. Like I can just deal with people one on one. So I started doing those things, and then so I think I'd gotten up to Eric's figure. I had done one for Steph from My Nerdy Home, and she opened her.
Let me just speak to Time Prophet here. Age of Boomer and I, we're small beans. We don't that no. Although that is interesting because I know what Age of Boomer really looks like, so the idea of him on a John Deere tractor is just kind of funny to me.
Well, it's funny. I did find a picture of actually a guy on a John Deere, but he was all caked with mud. But he did look something like me, but I don't usually use that picture. But there was one,
right? Because you don't want anyone to know too close what you look like.
Anyway,
actually, I look at this picture that you use as your usual thumbnail, and you look a lot like J.G. Hertzler, Martok from Star Trek, in that picture. Just an aside. Sorry, Andy. Just a little sidetrack.
So I done Steph from My Nerdy Home. I was working my way through like all the, I've had all these people like request figures from like the whole line of like Friday Night Tights crew and stuff like that. And but I don't just do, like, I've done one for Cardinal Sin. I've done one for Drunk 3PO's brother Lee. Like my brother Ed, back in 2014, he got diagnosed with throat cancer, tonsil cancer. And he's, 49 years old. He was squatting 800 pounds. And so they went in, did surgery and everything like that, put him on chemo. Everything was looking great. Then cancer came back. And so he's feeling good. So I started working on this, making him his own action figure. And so I'm talking to him like, we talked every day. So I could hear like he's kind of down in his voice, and obviously, so I call him up. I didn't quite get it as far along as I wanted. I wanted to make a whole custom box and whatnot, and so I put it together, and I called him up and said, "You going to be home?" He's like, "Yeah, I'll be here." How come? Like, I got something for you. So I go over to his house, and I walk in the door, and like he's sitting in his chair, and it's facing away from me, so I can't see his face. He kind of leans over. The surgery was on his neck, so little mobility was down a little bit. So he reaches back, and I hand him this box. And he opens it up, and I can't see his face, and he turns around, and he's got the biggest grin on his face.
I would imagine. Yeah.
And he says to me, "This may be the coolest gift I've ever gotten." So it sat up on his entertainment center, and everybody that came in the house had to go check out his action figure. So he was really proud of that. And sadly he passed away in 2016. But every time I've sent one of these things out, it's given me a little bit of that dopamine rush. It's not quite the same, but it's a little reminiscent. It gives me a little of that same feeling.
I dig. Real quick, Andy, Time Prophet is asking you, do you still have horses?
No, I don't. I had my own horse from about like, I'll say 92 to 97 maybe. And then I got promoted at work and had to get rid of the horse, and yeah.
It's time consuming.
Yeah.
And kind of costly, I can imagine.
Yeah. Well, I kept it at my in-laws' place, so like I didn't have
Time Prophet, I don't know if you follow Stephanie Janishek. I know she has a horse.
Yeah, they need attention and stuff like that, and I didn't have time for her. So like she, we sold her to somebody who was actually going to ride her. Great horse. Good. She was awesome. But God, that was a long time ago. Yeah, but
thanks for the question. That's great.
So that's how I kind of, and so far I've done Drunk 3PO's brother Lee. because those guys were out there doing things together, hanging out, their best friends and brothers. And it was like, you know what, it kind of gave me a little flashback to my own brother. So it was like, you know what, these guys deserve to have like they can put their action figures together. So
Yep.
because after my brother passed away, what I did was I made action figures of the whole family. Like, you know, I started with my other two brothers and I built out, and then the next year I did all my nephews and stuff like that. So it was pretty time consuming. It took probably about like 6 months to get everybody done.
Let me just
But I figured,
pause there for a quick second to share my own story. A buddy of ours, Skipper Kenner, most of you guys know him from usual chats. When he got married, he actually wanted to put these on his cake, but they were too big. They were just like you do, 1/6 scale, 12-inch figures. He had custom figures made of himself and his wife. So he used a G.I. Joe body and a Barbie body, you know, for the two of them. And he put them, instead of, on the cake, because it would have been too big, he put them on the table where the gifts were and whatnot. So, yeah, I totally get that. And, but I do have to say, Skipper Kenner, if you see this in the future, I'm sorry. This just is reality. I don't know what you spent on those heads, but Andy does just much better work. He really does. I mean,
Well, remember back in the day when he got those done, that was like the primo.
that's
that you could
true.
get.
That was, gosh, that was almost
It was
25 years
ago. 'Cause
ago.
they got married 5 years after, or 5 years. Yeah,
5 years after we
us.
did, and we just celebrated 30 years.
Because we're
So-
old.
So quarter of a century ago, that was
That was cutting edge.
yeah, that was yeah, we didn't have internet. Well, we were just getting internet where we could.
We had AOL.
Yeah, it was AOL dial
Dial
up
up.
and shit like that. Yeah, and so for crafters to be able to find each other and do stuff like that for each other. But yeah, it was his work was pretty rough, and in fact, he was working from photographs. So
well, that's another thing too.
so Skipper Kenner, he's not as bald as I am, but he was thinning even 25 years ago, and and the guy who did his head sculpt was working from an older picture, so he had like a full head of hair. I'm like, what is this? This does not look like you. All this hair.
Yeah, I have a couple friends of mine. They're brothers, and the one guy, Mike, he's an artist, and his brother Sean's bald, and so Sean needed he's a vice president for a big insurance company, and so he said, like, I needed a new picture for work, and he had this picture done while they were away in Disney, so he sent it to his brother and said, like, can you fix this up a little bit?
I love deleted scenes. He is just friggin' awesome. Sorry.
So he says, can you fix this up for me? And he says, sure. So he puts this, it looks like Ken doll hair. It was just hysterical. It was like the way it came out. He was like, can you fix this picture for me? So it's like, yeah, this is great. Like, so he put this really bad hair job on his brother's head.
I gotta say, I just this was not related to this stream or anything, but I happen to have seen a video, some Japanese YouTuber who does custom figures. He did a character, I don't know, some anime character, female, and it was like a resin print or whatever. And what was really cool was the way he did the hair. And I'm like, man, this is something I could totally do. It's a resin cast with, hard printed hair.
Mhm.
And what he did was he glued real hair, over it and then painted it.
Yeah.
And so it looked so real. I was like, Man, that's brilliant. I could totally do that. You know,
Oh, there's some people out there. What they do with rooted hair is just like it's
rooted
frightening.
hair is a whole different
Yeah,
ball of wax. I can't even touch that
yeah.
stuff.
I don't bother. Like if I'm doing a female figure, like let's see here. If I'm doing a female figure, I buy the wigs and like in the head sculpts that go on there.
Yep.
So it's uh, I don't have to. It certain female figures look better with sculpted hair. Most look better with like the wig effect, the rooted hair effect. So that I usually go with that because most of the girl. It's funny because like the guys that want figures of themselves, they want it looking kind of badass, and the girls that want figures themselves, they want like something that's with a little smile on their face. They're a little happier looking and whatnot, and yeah. So it's you got to kind of like pick and choose because I want everybody to be happy with the figure they get. So let's see here.
Real quick, let me ask Time Prophet. By all means, make sure you subscribe to Netter's Network. Links in the description. She's got a couple of really good videos about 3D printing. Check it out. We have a 3D printer. It's just a extrusion printer. We haven't gone for the resin yet, but we'll probably be doing that pretty
3D
soon.
printing for beginners.
3D printing for beginners. Yeah, check it out.
There's what you were asking about there.
Oh yeah. So actually, this is a great place where I'd like to ask this question. The bodies that you use.
Yeah.
What bodies do you use? Or do
Okay,
you
so
use different ones all the time?
well, it depends. For example, most of what I use are these guys. They're True Type clones, like Hot Toys True Type clones. People will make these things, and Hot Toys made them first, and then China, being the counterfeit capital of the world, took all the molds.
It's a mixed blessing, right?
Oh yeah. Well, in the long run, it helps everybody because and these things are super articulated.
Yep.
They're like you can put them in pretty much any kind of position, and they basically hold.
How much do those run American?
$17. You go on
No shit.
Giant Toy. Yeah, Giant Toy. It's free shipping, and you can get them for about $17. You can go on
shit.
eBay.
I may switch to 12-inch. I'll get into my custom figures in a little bit, but I work in a different scale than you do. So
yeah, to me, 6 scale is just easier to work in because you can use fabric clothes. A lot of these things that I do, like these things, it's pants and a t-shirt and things like that. Like I learned how to sew because my daughter. I
gotta say, I was amazed by the Doomcock, because you had to do that from scratch, and I saw your video on it.
Yeah,
it was very quick. It kind of just showed photographs and whatnot. I was incredibly impressed by that.
Well, my daughter got into American Girl doll, and
oh, I'm sorry.
Well,
that's an expensive hobby.
fortunately, like as she said, she would get all this stuff. She has so growing up, the kids we really didn't buy them much. For their birthdays, they could have a party and stuff like that, and we really didn't buy them much during the year. So when Christmas came around, anything they asked Santa Claus for, they got. And my son, both my kids were really late getting out of the whole Santa Claus thing because, as my son rationalized out, he said to his sister, he said, Aaron, there's no way mom and dad are going to spend that much money on toys. There's got to be a Santa Claus.
That is awesome logic. I love that.
He's got great when
Andy,
he was little.
Let me tell you something. Netter and I, to this day, we will get sometimes, well, I will get my own things that I want for Christmas, wrap them up, put them under the
Yeah.
tree from Santa. Just
So
Yeah,
we
we do that too. Yeah.
side thing. I just want to jump in here real quick. I want to, let's see, share screen, Chrome tab. I just want to share some of my own work real quick.
Oh yeah.
So this is from Figures Toy Company.
Okay.
This is the what is it? It's the World's Greatest Heroes Clark Kent figure, right?
Right.
This is a reproduction of the 1970s Clark Kent figure, which most of us didn't have. This was one that if you want, if you're really into getting the original figures, it has to be 1970s authentic. Going to be very expensive because not
So
a lot of people
they the
bought
Mego
this.
figures.
This is Mego, yeah. Oh,
Okay.
that's the other thing I should mention to the stream. So Andy works in the 12-inch 1/6 scale. He is GI Joe and Barbie, right? I'm always talking about Mego, which is 1/9 scale,
Yep.
which is a little bit smaller. So anyway, this is I picked up this figure from Figures Toy Company, and it just wasn't satisfactory to me, you know.
Right.
So let me close this out and come back to StreamYards. There we go. So I bought the figure from Figures Toy Company. Replaced both the body and the head. The only thing I really kept was the clothing. And I created, okay, don't know if the lighting's going to work with me here. Nope, it's
Put your
not.
hand behind it.
Put my hand behind? No.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
That's
that
it,
does work.
Yep.
Huh.
That's
I
great.
created a Christopher Reeve.
Yep.
And so what I did was exactly what you were saying, Andy. I just bought off of eBay. Somebody was doing a 3D print of 1/9 scale Christopher Reeve figure, right? And you know what? I'm going to be doing a future video about this where I will share links. But the eyeglasses from Figures Toy Company are authentic to the period, but they look
Right.
horrible.
Yeah.
These glasses come from Laser Mego. So they're a custom job. And anyway, I'll do much better pictures in another video. But
That looks great. That's awesome.
Oh,
I mean,
right.
It's hard
And,
enough working in like
From Figures Toy Company, I did pick up a trench coat because there is a promotional still of Christopher Reeve, you know, with it over his shoulder. I haven't gotten the. I need to get a briefcase. He had a briefcase, you know, where he's hailing the cab and whatnot.
Probably best thing would be to have somebody 3D print that for you because they can do it in any scale.
Oh, well, actually, there's a couple of Mego sites that have that, and another promotional still of the fedora.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, I remember that.
I did have to paint the headband because it just comes in straight gray, but I'll be doing a video shortly that shows the promotional stills I was working from related to the figures that I'm working from. But as you can see on the wall behind me, I have all of these. I have a Svengoolie. I have a couple Svengoolie Mego figures. I've got Wolfman, and then I've got all the horror figures above me that you can't really see. But mine is 1/9 scale. Andy tends to work in 1/6 scale, which is 12-inch figures, GI Joe and Barbie scale. So
Well, growing up, I always had we had every Mego figure available. I love the Mego figures. They
right,
were
what was it? The uh, world's greatest superheroes,
yeah.
and they had at the time. People don't realize this. The way it works is that now Disney owns Marvel, and Warner Brothers has always owned DC Comics. But back then, Marvel was a completely separate thing. And Mego worked from the idea of buy every license you can get for the cheap, right?
Yep.
So they were able to do both Marvel and DC at the time. So back in the 70s when we were kids, you were able to get Superman and Spider-Man. You could
Yep.
get Hulk and Batman, right? And no, they were a very stylized version of those figures. Those Batman figures weren't exactly the Batman from the comics, and they weren't exactly the Batman from the Adam West TV show. But in my mind, they kind
Oh
of
yeah.
were both, right?
Yeah.
Now go to Figures Toy Company, Google them up. I don't know what the URL is, but Figures Toy Company, they have actual figures in that scale, Adam West and Burt Ward and all of the actors from that show. I mean, just perfect. I've
There's a
collected them. I
there's a
may do
thing
videos
on
about them in the future.
there's a page on Facebook. There's a couple of them on there that do custom tailored work, and they have made um, comic book accurate costumes for Mego figures for all of them. They're
You know,
pricey, but it's amazing.
Figures Toy Company has done a lot of that too, because what they'll do is they'll take for example, their Batman figure, and they will look at all the comics and they'll go, well, we could do this variation, we can do that variation. In fact, Figures Toy Company has even done the rainbow Batman, where there was the cover that had all the different colors of the rainbow. I don't really remember what the storyline was. Check
They,
out Casually Comics. Sasha did a video about it.
they had that on Batman the Brave and the Bold as one of the teasers before the episode. They did the rainbow suit Batman.
There you go. There you go. And I know there's Funko Pops of the Rainbow Batman, but yeah. So anyway, I'm sorry, Andy. Go ahead.
Oh no, I had God. Well, I'm the youngest of four boys, so not only did I have my own toys, but I got all the hand-me-downs too. So like there was 2 years between me and my brother Ed, 2 years between Ed and Mark, and like my brother Jim, he's my half brother from my mom's first marriage, so he's 13 years older than me. So we had all these really cool figures, and
Yep.
I at any given time, like you would mix and match, and you would uh, it was very a smorgasbord of toys, and like you just had a never-ending supply of toys.
Nice.
So I always loved the because the thing about the 1/9 scale was like GI Joe was really hard to have accessories with because everything was just so damn big.
Yeah.
The 1/9 scale, you could have some. We had the Action Jackson Jungle Tree Fort.
Action Jackson. Okay, gotta do an aside here. So Action Jackson, for those of you that are not in the know, back in the 70s, was the 1/9 scale Mego action figure that was the answer to GI Joe. It was the generic figure, right? That you'd get the figure, but then you would buy all the expansion packs, the costumes, the accessories, and so forth. So you could have Action Jackson as a soldier or as a firefighter or whatever.
Yeah.
And when Mego came back very recently they re-released the Action Jackets figure, and I didn't realize this until the re-release. I'm looking at the head sculpt, and I'm looking at Marty Abrams, who is, the owner of Mego back in the 70s, and I'm like, Action Jackson is him. I was like, I'm blown away by that. I'm like, I'm sure that many people in the Mego, community knew this. I was kind of new to figure that out. And one more aside, check out Netter is still on Facebook. I'm not, but Netter and I went to Mego Meet a couple of years in a row, and we dressed as the Klingon Mego figures a couple of times, and there's pictures of us on Netter's Facebook page. No, that's okay. Let them, go ahead and look you up on Facebook if they're on Facebook. But we'll get more into the Klingon Migos maybe later on.
It's funny you bring that up because that's actually how I got into adult toy collecting.
Careful what you say about adult toys. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. You can say whatever you want on my channel. I don't care. I'm just joking.
So we I back in the early 90s. I was working overnight.
I hate the thought that the early 90s was a long time ago.
It was.
Yeah. Oh, and so
dude, we're old.
Yeah.
This panel is old.
Well, we friend of mine, at the time my hair was down the middle of my back. I was either riding a horse or motorcycle. It was my friend Kat. He's a black guy who played bass in a heavy metal band and rode motorcycles.
Nice.
So we
nice.
One day he says to me, "Yo, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Nothing. Why? Like, you feel like taking a ride?" I'm like, "Where to?" Like, and so I'm in South Jersey, right across from Philly, and he says at the Valley Forge, and they're having a Star Trek convention, and I'm like, Star Trek convention? I'm like, I didn't picture you as like a Star Trek guy, and so he's like, oh yeah, well I have this action figure of Ilea, like, and she was there, and he wanted to get it signed. Yeah. And so we hop on bikes and head up to Valley Forge, and we walk in there, and we're all decked out. Like, I've got like black cowboy boots on, jeans, and Harley Davidson t-shirt and a leather biker jacket. He's got like he's all decked out. He's like, this is back like in the early 90s, so it's still like, lots of like dressed completely in black with a leather jacket with like this like jean jacket vest, like with Indian feathers and all kinds of stuff hanging off it and whatnot.
That was awesome. And when was this?
This is back in like 90, maybe 91, 92, something like that.
Okay.
So everybody's dressed as a Klingon is looking at us like we're nuts. So we're walking through this place, like, and so he gets in line and goes and gets this Barbie doll Star Trek figure signed. He said, I really felt bad too, because I'm like, I actually wanted her to sign the doll. So I'm like pulling the clothes away, and she's like signing her own naked body in a way. But so yeah,
just the fact that you got her autograph is awesome, because she passed away very shortly after that.
Yeah. And so that was pretty cool. But like, that's when I realized, wait, you can collect toys as an adult? Yep. He's like, oh yeah, he's got over. I actually made a figure of him back about like 9 years ago, and
good.
I was like, you know what? I can do a better job than that. So I went and I redid everything, and I like, here's an image of like my improvement as a sculptor, just in the last year. So let's see. The original sculpt I did of Drunk 3PO. Let's see, where did I put you?
Drunk 3PO is awesome.
Yeah, he did a video today about G4.
We'll be talking about that on Sunday over on
Yeah,
our
yeah.
channel. Get you, Boomer.
Okay. All right. Here's the original sculpt on the right, and there's the updated one on the left.
Oh wow.
So
What's amazing is, oh my gosh, you are so good at getting the details down. That is just friggin' amazing.
thank you. But I mean, it's just a matter of like just keeping working at it, and a lot of it too is like when you're doing these things, you're taking images off of screen caps from live streams, and there's a distortion effect depending upon whether somebody's recording from a phone or a camera. So sometimes it's pretty tricky, and then of course people's faces change, like if they've put on more weight, lost some weight, like different angles, if they're smiling, it's kind of difficult to get a really accurate likeness sometimes, but it's fun when it works out right. So I sent him an updated head sculpt of himself, and he's like, "Dude, that's great, but I'm bald now." So I had to go back and and send the thing to him with
Look, the
with my hair.
fact is, you can just if you're doing, I don't know if you're doing like resin casting of the heads,
Yeah.
just
Oh, yeah.
scrape that off and you're done.
Well, it was easier for me just to because what I do is I will sculpt the hair separately, because if you're sculpting and you cure the head in the oven. Otherwise, if you put you can actually hold it by
Do you
something.
work from resin, or are you using a different material?
Oh no, I make silicone. I do an original in clay. I make a silicone mold and then cast it in resin.
Gotcha.
And since I've hooked up with Gary Ambrosia, he's taught me so much about casting and mold making and stuff like that.
Yep.
Because he worked with these guys in Hollywood, and they taught him all the tricks of the trade. And he's really improved my work a lot just in the last few months of some pointers here and there about what I was doing.
Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah, but it's coming along really well with the improvement in the sculptures, and which is because my opinion is that if your collection is for you, so if you have somebody come over to your house and they don't like your collection, you can throw them out, and that's perfectly acceptable.
And I fucking would. Yeah, absolutely.
It's like, well, excuse the hell out of me. I wasn't doing this to impress you. It's for me.
Yeah, exactly.
So, because there's all kinds of people can be snobby about everything, and it's not all Hot Toys. Well, kiss my ass in Gimbel's window. It's I'm happy with it. So
right.
And as long as I like it, and I was talking to a friend of mine, my buddy Fred, the other night. He's a big DC fan. And I said, I wish I was a DC fan, because I would put together on a shelf, I would have a Ben Affleck Batman, a Christopher Reeve Superman, a Soso Toys Robin, or maybe even Nightwing, and do, because they put out these third party figures that are awesome and a hell of a lot cheaper than the Hot Toys figures are. But I made up my mind that I wasn't going to have a mortgage payment for a toy collection. So I'm very picky about what I'll spend money on. And so I'm really picky on what Hot Toys figures that I'll get. Basically the only Hot Toys figures I have are Captain America and Captain America adjacent, because Cap's been my favorite since I was 8 years old, and it's probably going to be that way for however much time I have left. But the other ones,
let me ask you a quick question, Andy. Captain America. Do you remember the 60s era cartoon
Yep.
When Captain
Captain
America
America
throws
throws
his
his
mighty
mighty
shield. You
All
know what I'm
those who
talking about?
oppose. Yep. Yep. Yeah, that was great. You know, I would sit there with like because I was born in '67, and
Oh, you're a
so
little older than I am, actually.
yeah, so we had all the reruns. We had Captain America. We had the 45s with the theme songs on it.
Okay, I know that in the future, Skipper Kenner is going to be watching the stream, and he's going to be bothered by the fact that I didn't finish the song. So let me go ahead and finish.
We sing together.
When Captain America throws his mighty shield, all those who oppose his shield must yield. And if he's led to a fight and the duel is due, then the red and the white and the blue will come through when Captain America throws his mighty shield.
Yeah, it's not fair that everyone knows the Spider-Man song, but they don't know that one.
Spider-Man, Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. Spins a web any size, catches thieves just like spies. Look out! Here comes Spider-Man. Okay, I am really drunk, so I'm getting
I like the
words
Iron
all
Man
fricked
song.
up.
Oh, I remember that one too. Yeah.
The Iron Man song.
Tony Stark
Oh.
makes you feel he's a cool exec with
Don't
a heart
get
of steel,
started.
but Iron Man with guns ablaze, he fights and fights with repulsor rays. Greatest armor, it's Iron Man. The greatest armor, it's Iron Man. Yeah, Netter's going, don't get him started. He gets loud when he's drunk,
And I gotta live with them.
and she's got to live with me. Yeah, exactly.
I think there was a Thor song too. Never mind.
I don't know the words to that
Yeah.
one, so
Boomer,
that
I'm
kind of
gonna disown you.
cross the rainbow bridge
No.
of Asgard. Ra 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 ra. No, I don't know that song.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's fine. Did they have a '60s Ant-Man cartoon, or was that not a thing?
They
No.
did not,
Okay.
although Ant-Man did appear as, side characters in some of the Avengers storylines. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was
But-
interesting about those 60s Marvel stories was that they were rotoscoped literally from comic stories.
Yeah.
So they were nowadays we would call them motion comics, but back then they would rotoscope the comics and then have the characters moving against static background and so forth. But they were actual comic stories, which was very interesting. So there you go. I was not a huge Marvel fan back in the 70s. I was way more DC, but those 60s syndicated cartoons were the only knowledge I had of who Captain America, Submariner, and Thor were, and Hulk, I knew those cartoons, but then, the Bill Bixby, Lou Ferrigno. I'll tell you what, I have seen people have done, custom figures of Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno
I've seen
in
them.
both the Mego scale and 12-inch scale. Those are out there. My hope is to one day be able to pull that off myself.
Yeah, this is this is actually a knockoff. It's not like the Hot Toys is fully articulated. This one you can't move his legs.
Sure.
But he was only $50 instead of $450. So I was like, you know what? He can stand on my shelf for $50. So it works out for me. Like I said, I couldn't justify spending that much money on a toy collection, and unless it started.
Thanks, David. I don't know what that's about. What you were saying, well done, but thanks so much. You're awesome.
It's for your singing.
That's right. I don't promote it very much, but every video I've got Netter's PayPal if you want to buy me a drink or whatever, super appreciate it. But
Now, I have a question for our guest?
Sure.
get in here, Agent Boomer. You're part of the show too.
I'm just saying. I see your background. It looks like you design play sets or like dioramas for your
dude,
figures.
you've got some awesome play sets.
And I'm kind of curious. Do you have more than that, or is that your main one, or do you do?
Well, I've made so many things over the years. My daughter, when I made her updated figure back in 2016, I started off that year. I made a Star Wars theme, but I was like, you know what? Then I had a friend of mine. She was getting divorced. She was out in Las Vegas, and like, you know, she had two kids that are about the same age as my kids. And you know, my parents got divorced. They got divorced when I was 17, but it was like it was still kind of like it messed you up a little bit. So I was like, you know what? So her daughter, who was younger, like a big Harry Potter fan, so I made this whole Harry Potter outfit and action figure for her. And so I was like, oh, my daughter likes Harry Potter, so I made her a Harry Potter thing, and she was a Hufflepuff, and so I made this whole. The Hufflepuffs have like the common room thing, but it's like a fireplace, and it's got like this hearth and like a portrait of the lady that started all over top of it. So I made her this whole background of that. That came out pretty cool. I did Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I made a whole bunch of stuff for that. I actually made a mock-up of the bronze. I was going to throw it away and I put it up on Twitter, and Gary Beekler's wife said, "We'll take it." I'm like, okay, you just pay shipping and you can have it. It's like, you know, because the thing was gigantic, and it was like, I mean, I'd love to just give it to you, but like, it's got, I think it was like $60 in shipping. I'm like, you know, I'm all for the cause, but like, you know, you guys probably make a lot more money than me. So, but I've made all kinds of things. I've made for what I use for photo backdrops when I'm doing action figures, because the Laboratory of Mayhem, I made a replica of Frankenstein's lab, and I'm still working on it, so I can kind of put it there, and I can put the custom figures in front of it. Because I've been a big, like, you know, I mean, for me growing up, it was like Saturday afternoon TV was all Dr. Shock horror shows, and I've got the Universal Monsters from. There you go. Yeah.
Oh.
So that's the first from the re-release of the Mego figures. This is the Frankenstein figure with a laser Mego table, I guess you'd call it. And what's really cool about it is,
yeah, that's great. Yeah, I have Sideshow.
This is here every week, so I mean, the regulars have seen this all the time.
Yeah, I have to. One of these days, I have to.
The only difference was the boots he's wearing are from a Kiss figure, because it's the the thicker soles,
right?
So.
But it's funny because like when I first found Sideshow Toys,
Sideshow Toys is a mixed bag, let me tell you.
Well, back in the day, it was like they were the first ones really making like high end 6 scale. And I hadn't realized that I had bought several of them before, because my brother Ed, I got him. I was over at the mall one day and I saw these a Frankenstein figure and a Wolfman figure, so I got them for him for Christmas. And I had no idea they were Sideshow, because when Sideshow came along and did Luke Skywalker, it was like, oh wow, this is, and I was like, I'm never going to spend $40 for an action figure. That's ridiculous. Like,
never say never,
like,
dude.
Now I've got a $270 Captain America behind me. So it's like, yeah, well, that kind of happens accidentally. But I look at it this way. I don't gamble. I don't do drugs. I don't, I make toys and collect toys. So yeah, it's sort of like
everyone's got to have their thing. That's true.
Yeah. But yeah, so I got the Universal stuff. So I've made tons and tons of backgrounds and dioramas because I think that like these things look so realistic. They need some kind of like realistic background behind them. Otherwise, you might as well have a statue. So
Right.
I like an interactive kind of theme that goes along with it. So I've got like Stan Lee hanging out the window up here. I've got the Green Goblin here. I've got Spider-Man sticking to the wall here. Captain America on the bus is crashing through the wall. I've got whole custom.
And are these these are all 12-inch scale?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So but it's funny because like 12th scale is getting really big now, and you can buy the bodies that are just as articulated as the 6th scale in 12th scale. And if you hop on Giant Toy, they have a customizing section where you can just buy the blank bodies.
Yeah.
And also on eBay you can find 12th scale blank heads that you can just paint that have been sculpted by someone else, and you just put a paint job on them. So that works out. You know, again, it's one of those things where like I wasn't going to go and spend $200 and some for a Hawkeye figure, but I was like, you know what, I can put one together myself a lot cheaper than buying one from Hot Toys. So for about like $80, I put together a Hawkeye figure that can sit on my shelf with my other Captain America figures and whatnot.
No, exactly.
Which I believe is like, you know, what I try to do is encourage people to see what you can do on your own. Like you can do a lot of things on your own. You don't need these companies to make things for you. Try making it yourself. You'll be amazed what you can do. Anything that like inspires the individual to take more autonomy and like and take charge of things and make your own stuff.
Speaking of, you know, I've been showing the Mego figures, but I'm going to have some videos coming up on my channel pretty soon. But I have been doing so for all my talk about Mego. Okay, I got some Klingon figures coming up pretty soon, which is 1/9 scale. But I have also been doing 3 3/4 inch.
Oh, there you go.
And for example, real quick, this is the holiday special Bloodlow figure, which is really just the 1970s Greedo figure with a vest, right? Yeah. That's an easy one. But what's more interesting is the holiday special Chewbacca figure. And when I do a figure, I want them to be able to open up and actually grab the figure. And as far as his accessory, is this very interesting bauble that if you are a fan of the holiday special, you know what that's all about.
Fan of the holiday special.
But I actually have a ton of holiday special figures that I'll be doing individual videos on. But I'm also a big fan of the Marvel Comics Star Wars 3 3. Okay, so I got from Hasbro the HasLab Razor Crest. And the Razor Crest came with these there we go. These 3 carbonite figures, and most people don't even know where they came from. But those figures were not random. They were from Marvel Comics. If you were a Marvel Comics fan, that was kind of a little bit of an Easter egg.
Yeah.
So, for example, this one, Rick Duel, I did this one, and I did a custom figure of Rick Duel. Sorry, let me put my hand behind it so that we get the. It's really a reprint from, or a repaint from the what was that?
Rogue One,
Thank you, Rogue One. That's what I was trying to say.
Cassian Andor. Is that a redo of Cassian Andor?
Cassian Andor repaint is all it was.
Okay.
And let me just put it back in so that so there we have the figure and the carbonite figure together. Same thing with oops, I just dropped the figure and I can't grab it, and maybe Netter can grab that for me. But I did the thank you very much. So I've got this was from there we go.
He's from the comic too.
That's from the comic as well. So there were
related to Greedo?
three characters from the Marvel comics. There was Cheeto, there was Donnie, who was the female character, and Rick Duel. Chani is not finished yet, so I can't show her. I'll be doing a separate video about her. But yeah, so when I saw these carbonite figures, I was like, you know what? I want the actual figures. And I knew that Hasbro was never going to do them. So I had to do them myself. And that's, you know, Andy, that's what it comes down to for me is I collect figures, and then I realize there's certain figures I'm never going to get.
Yep.
So I have to make them myself.
Yeah.
Followers of the channel know that it's the same thing with physical media, you know, the DVDs.
Own physical media.
Own physical media, so they can never take it away from you. There's a bunch of Doctor Who that won't exist unless I create it for myself, right? Because it's lost media and so forth, and there's reconstructions and so forth. So I make DVDs of it, and that's how I have a complete collection, because I've done it myself.
Yeah.
So I think as a crafter, you kind of understand that.
Oh, absolutely.
Am I correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Because like, it's one of the things that's great about, like, what I like about 1/6 scale is that there's so much out there that you can just kind of kit bash together. That you can go and you can buy the blank bodies. There's clothes all over eBay, boots. There's a thriving industry of just parts that you can get for these things and cobble things together. The third parties that are coming along with some of these figures they're maybe not quite Hot Toys quality, but they're just maybe a hair underneath it. They're fabulous figures, and they're cheaper. So instead of instead of having a Green Goblin, they've got the Green Menace figure. But it's the Green Goblin.
Yep.
But they're figures that Hot Toys would never touch because they can't sell enough of them. There's certain figures that people aren't going to go and pay $260.
You got to remember the cost of tooling and so forth.
Yeah. But these other companies will come along and they'll sell them for $150, $160, and like, so people will be like, you know what, I can afford that. I can justify that. And you flesh out your universe like that with some of those other figures. Well, I might be working on a Jodie Whittaker figure, but with a little twist to it. But
I would imagine you got a bit of a twist to it. I'm looking forward to that.
But yeah, like that's what I do with all this stuff. Like the whole purpose of my channel is to try and show people how to do certain things themselves and try it out and encourage them to, like, hey, you know what? Maybe you can't sculpt, but you could make backgrounds. You could do construction with pieces of wood.
A lot of these custom heads are available on Etsy. Check them out.
Yeah.
I'll have videos coming out pretty soon. Migo has been doing a lot of great TOS Klingon figures and a lot of Etsy artists have been doing some of the various Klingons from the original series. I got those heads. I'm going to be doing some custom figures. I'll be doing some videos. So, guys, definitely subscribe to or click the subscribe on Andy Masterson's channel. I'm gonna have to wrap this up because we've gone really late tonight.
No,
Excuse me,
it's not yet midnight.
dude.
That's all
So,
right.
Andy, do you have anything you want to share in the coming week?
Well, I will be away for a few days, but hopefully, when I get back, I will be doing some other things. Right now, I'm working on. I just did this last. Let's see here. I just did this the other day. Well, last month. So one of Drunk 3PO's fans wanted a birthday present for him for his birthday in August. So I made this. So there's Drunk 3PO as
Oh,
Indiana
wow.
Jones.
That's cool.
So he's got like his base here has there's little carvings in the wall. One is a bear for the Canadian bear. One is for a cat for him letting the cat out and meeting the Grim Reaper. And the other one is a couch. And behind him is a great big candy corn instead of like the Shankara stone. So, but I've been working on a few things like that. I'm trying to get a couple other sculptures done. I'm working on the Yaphet figures that I'm putting out a very limited edition of them with. It's going to have the box, the base here like this. Here's Yaphet.
Oh, wow.
He's
Huh.
a translucent resin,
That's cool.
and they come in a box. Oops. 1 second. Yikes. Okay, here's his box. It's all custom made. So I'm doing
Cool.
a very limited run of them, for $75 each, and plus shipping. And see who wants them. First come, first serve. But just trying to do stuff like that, like again, to make something for somebody that like other companies probably are never going to make. The idea that we're going to get like 6 scale Orville figures is probably pretty slim. So I'm trying to, get a reasonable facsimile out there. So hopefully within the next, before Christmas, I'm going to try and get on sculpting Ed Mercer and maybe some of the cast of the Orville in 6 scale. So we'll see about that.
Oh, you're muted,
Troy.
Troy. You're muted, Troy. Sorry, we both said at the same time.
Oh, sorry, guys.
That's right.
Yeah, make sure you're subscribed to Andy. His link is below, because all the things he's talking about.
Cool. Those are some cool projects you got coming up, though.
Well, I'm trying to I've had so many people ask about things, different projects, and all I want to do is there's so many people out there that have like a grail, a holy grail that they would love to have. And there's so many things that like people have been forced to walk away from because of what's happened with their franchises. So to be able to provide something for somebody who's like something they are into, something they do love, part of the failures of these big studios is when they are destroying the merchandising sales, that the product has failed. And when nobody starts buying the stuff anymore. But there are things out there that people do want. And it's not about it's not so much about, I could never mass produce anything like this, but like it gives somebody somewhere like an opportunity to have that, and they can put that up
Yeah.
on a shelf, and they can like they can look at something pure, and they can look at it like, oh, this thing is really great, and I love it just like this, and I don't have to think about how somebody came along and destroyed my memories of that.
So much of what I have, whether it's the physical media, DVDs and so forth, it's I just want to have this thing. I
Yeah,
know it doesn't exist, but I feel like it should.
yeah,
You know.
yeah, exactly, and that's the thing that like, and there's a certain, picking up a toy. It takes us back to a more innocent time in our lives where we didn't have all the headaches and all the problems, and so we can, if it can just give you like a moment to recapture a fraction of that,
Yeah.
man, that's indescribable. It's like, and you can get people, and there's so many people now that are getting into this kind of hobby of collecting and whatnot that didn't think that it was like, oh well, you can actually do that. So yeah, I like being able to provide something like that for
And to
people. Like,
be the one that has the very unique thing.
yeah,
Right?
yeah, exactly. And everything I do is very small run. So
Right. So Age of Boomer, what do we have coming up this week?
Well, on Sunday we have Geeky Geezers, and
Excellent.
I will be on Soundtrack's Birdman
Links
on
for Age of
Wednesday.
Boomer is in the description, of course.
I'll be on Birdman's channel Wednesday. We'll be doing a rewatch of The Enforcer with Clint Eastwood as Dirty Harry. And I believe, and tomorrow night, and then I'll be back here on Friday with you. What do you have going on this week? You have a very special stream on Netters Network tomorrow, right?
Tomorrow on Netters Network, we have a very special stream because we are going to be having the guests Mikey the Mexican Iron Man and Paulie Latino Slant as we do a rewatch of
Book of Life.
The Book of Life. Yeah. That's on Netters Network. Of course, her link is down below as well. That's tomorrow night. What is next week on my channel? I forget. I actually have to go to my channel in order to look it up.
You have many fine guests booked.
I do. I check out my channel because I have them planned many weeks in advance. So let's see, who is this? Oh, so next week I have a whole panel of people, including Deleted Scenes, Ryan Roger Athay, and maybe a couple others, including Netters Network and Age of Boomer, who are here. Say hi, Netter.
Hi.
See? But I may have a couple of others. They have not committed yet. I don't want to commit them before they're able, but we're going to be talking.
Want to commit them?
No, I don't want to commit them. I don't. But we're going to be talking about the community and how awesome it is to support each other. So, as I always say, subscribe to everybody that's in the links below. Everybody that Deleted Scenes has been sharing, because together we grow, as PJ of Orville Nation says. Have I missed anything, guys? Is there anything else I should be promoting?
I think that's it for this week.
I think that covers it. Okay. So, any last words? First, Andy?
well, I got Laboratory of Mayhem, and I'll be on Doomcock's panel on Pop Culture Breakdown on Sunday.
There you go. There you go. Age of Boomer, any last words?
No, it's a fun stream tonight. And looking forward to next week with the big panel. It should be fun times.
And Netter, any last words?
I gotta go over to your mic so I can actually be heard properly.
Sure.
Well, like I always say, we can talk amongst ourselves, and that's all well and good, and we have a lot of fun with it. But it's more fun when you guys are dropping comments in the chat and interacting with us and asking questions and giving us your trivia and what have you. because you're not just friends to us, you're family too. We love you guys, and we want to thank you for joining us.
It's so true. I super appreciate you guys. I'm realizing more and more with each week that goes by, it's more about the community than it is about anything else. I'm not so much promoting myself or even the guests on this channel so much as I am really just enjoying hanging out with you guys. So thank you so much. Hope to see you next week, and looking forward to whatever random stuff I'll have in the coming weeks. Take care, y'all.
Good night, ladies. Good night, sir. Hit it, sweetheart.